Welcome to Home on the Range, the official podcast of 1881 Ranch, bringing you the latest on the products, topics, and techniques for the shooting, hunting, and adventure lifestyles. Here is your host, tactical deployment of small arms expert and 1881 Ranch Director, Will Egbert Jr.
Greetings and welcome back, everyone, to episode 5 of Home on the Ranch. Home on the Range. I am again your host, Will Egbert Jr., and I will be taking you down the rabbit hole again for another podcast episode. I am joined here across the table by my friend Ryan.
Thank you for having me back.
Oh, please. Always a pleasure. Okay. So this is episode 5, and we are deep into the pickup of part 2 of
the G Wagon.
Project G Wagon.
Project G Wagon.
Right. Okay. So it's been a little while since we talked, and there's been some boxes come in. So all right, we'll do a quick wrap up. Wrap up of episode 4 of part 1 of the vehicle series for Project G Wagon. So that is. We started off with what year was it?
2013.
2013, 5.5 liter V8 Mercedes G Wagon.
Right.
Okay, you started with an ORC bumper.
Correct.
Yeah, 9,000 pound winch, Warren winch.
By Warren, yep.
Okay, wheels were
the Hutchinson beadlock rims.
The real beadlock rims.
Right.
True beadlocks.
The military version.
Yeah, rolling 16-inch with some BF Goodrich Ultra KO2s.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm not getting too old here. What else did you put on there? The front runner Go Wing.
Yep.
Windows.
In the back.
Yeah.
Left and right.
Left and right. It was really kind of a pain in the butt to put those things inside, but once we got them in, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and they work really well.
They do, and they look really like I said in the last time, they look really utilitarian, clean, OEM look, like it came right from the factory that way.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yep, and painted the same color.
Yeah, painted the same color of the truck. Nice. It's a silver color with all the black accoutrements. It's looking really tight. Nice and modern. Not too gaudy. Definitely not military or, painting a G Wagon sand or flat dark earth. I think it's just trying too hard.
No, but I'm always open for ideas.
Let's wrap it in rainbow. So this is part 2 of Project G Wagon. Let's see what else. What else came in the? We got that big ass box.
Oh well,
that thing is huge.
Yeah, that was a big box.
It's a big box, dude.
So yeah, the roof rack by Front Runner. Yeah, which fits on there really well. Looks good too.
It's a decent. When I say a decent rack, I'm not saying like, oh yeah, it's just barely decent. No, it's a decent looking rack. It's nice. They've come a long way. They've beefed up a couple things here and there, and some of the corners I've noticed.
Yeah, and it's all aluminum, so rusting issues aren't a problem. And if you do want to add more feet, you can to strengthen it even more. But right. I have 4 on each side, so
that's pretty tough.
Yeah,
4 on each side.
If you wanted to add more, you can.
Right, and it's a clean look. It's nice and it's tight to the roof.
Yep,
it's tight to the roof. That's important too.
But allows the sunroof to still open.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, that's kind of nice.
Which is cool.
Yeah, my rack on the 4Runner was basically covered up by the sunroof, and then when I would open it, I would just be looking at a rack.
Well,
I couldn't really see my daylight, but it still was nice to get some air ventilation in the vehicle. Right. So I just didn't, I wanted the roof rack space. I didn't need the sunroof. Like even if I was going to buy another vehicle or another 4Runner at the time, I would still get it without the sunroof. But it came on that Trail Edition, and that was that. All right, so you did that.
And a rear steel recovery bumper as well.
Yeah. Now tell me a little more about that, because that's not just a bumper. That's carrying 2 separate loads on it.
Well, so it does have the welded on recovery points, which is nice, and mounts right up on the frame.
Yeah.
And it actually has all because now we're talking a modern, Mercedes with sensors out the wazoo, and this bumper accommodates all that to fit right in.
Oh yeah, totally.
So, and
Who made that?
that's actually from
That's a German one, isn't it?
no, that's actually made here in the States.
Is it?
Yeah.
I thought that was German. Huh. But it's carrying 2 separate loads on it.
Actually, no, I know what you're thinking, but the load, so I actually have the ORC jerry can holder and the spare tire carrier as well, which can, if you don't want to hold the jerry cans, you can hold and carry a extra spare.
So 2 spare tires. And
Yeah.
it separates in the middle, right? So it's a 2-piece.
Right.
Right, and that bolts to the bumper?
No, it does not. It actually just bolts right through. So there's nothing like taking a knife.
That's right. Now I remember. Right. So it's bolting directly to the truck.
Right
So that's
through the body.
Right. That's totally independent of the rear bumper.
Correct. Yes.
So we got 2 swingaways in order to get the gate open, and one side is holding a full-size spare.
But the nice thing about the swingaway, so it's not just mounted on the backside of, a thin, metal shell of the body. There's actually a steel crossbar inside, the skin.
Right.
So it actually bolts. So yes, you have to cringe, and you have to take a drill bit, and you have to make a few big holes right from the outside all the way in.
So you have to drill right through the side of the truck.
Oh yeah,
right through the rear of the truck in order to get to those mounting brackets,
Yes.
the mounting bar.
So not many people are willing to probably do that.
No, and not to mention it's expensive, and it took us a little finicking to, and it's got a lot of grease points and things like that you got to keep up on.
Right. Yeah.
But it's holding a full size spare and 2 jerry cans.
2 jerry cans.
Yeah, so it's holding 10.
Another whole spare tire, if you want.
So that's holding 10 gallons of fuel, and because that 5.5 liter truck is probably getting 10 miles to the gallon. You're going to need every ounce of it to keep up with me in my Tundra. I'm rocking 14 miles to the gallon in that bad boy.
That's pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
That's really
I was very surprised. But, okay, so that went on. And I got to say, the rear bumper with the spare tire and the jerry cans, that really makes it look tough. I mean, that's no longer a soccer mom truck.
No.
And we're in the land of soccer mom trucks. I mean, let's face it here. The western suburbs of Chicago, that's like completely $150,000, soccer mom truck territory.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Chrome tips on the side ports. That's really nice. At any rate, so, all right, so we got that. And what was in who made the rooftop tent? Because that thing is massive.
Oh, what is that? That's Auto Tent.
Is it Auto Tent?
Yeah. From Italy, Italian company, I believe.
Oh man, the Italians are making more than pasta.
I'm pretty sure it is an Italian company.
That's very cool. Maybe it's a little crooked too. my poor mother's got to put up with me. And that was pretty slick. That was a pain in the ass to put on that roof rack.
True, yeah, to get your hand underneath the roof rack to bolt it.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a pain.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be taking it off and on the truck very often.
I'm thinking there's got to be a way where we can put some slide bars, some cross pins through it and build a bracket or something so that we can slide some pins through the bottom and then put a cotter pin through it and a cotter key or something, or one of the stat bolts. Because that's absolutely, there's that roof rack fits so tight to the roof of the truck that there's just no way to get our fingers under there.
On that inside.
Yeah, on that inside bolt. Yeah. But then again, a couple wrenches welded together, maybe we can figure out a way. that was a 5-minute, like, oh, let's get it on there, let's get it home. And it was like, oh, God.
An hour and a half later.
An hour and a half later, we're both late for our engagements, and our hands are cut up. We look like, what were we listening to? Eazy-E or something? Oh, man, that was a rough afternoon.
Easy.
Eazy-E. Easy does it. That was really kind of fun. All right, so we got the roof rack.
Yeah, so the roof rack, but yeah, that auto home tent.
Auto home tent.
Auto
home tent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That sounds better. And
it goes up because I had the front runner rooftop tent on the Defender. Mm-hmm. That clamshell that would fold off to the side. And
I wasn't a fan of that.
I mean,
it's so rooftop tent.
It was, simple. It did its job. It was good. Although I found that just using it on the highway, that I actually tore holes in the cover.
Yeah.
The main cover for
Yeah,
it.
there's too much bouncing around, too much flapping, and it just wore
right through.
Yeah, that's not cool.
And that was just after a couple of times of use. And
not to say you couldn't fix that
no,
kind of easy. I mean, as soon as you start to see some wear in that after an hour you have to kind of remember, like you said in the last episode, right? These things are built for lower speeds.
Right.
Yeah, so here in America, we're driving 60, 70, 80, 90 miles an hour sometimes if we get some crosswinds or whatever. So you've got to contend with all these different factors and variables. You should take your tent out and do some highway driving. Slam on the brakes. See if you get that in the front as you're decelerating. See if you can bring it up to speed. See if you start getting that like boom, 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 boom in the roof. Is it wobbling? Like you need to like tighten it down more in the front or shift it back. Is it crooked? All these things are going to come through. And then you take the liner or the cover, you take that thing off and you look underneath there and see if there's any wear points. If there is, then you're going to have to cut some foam insulation pieces or some swimming pool noodles and line those in there and pad that because it's just going to continue to get worse from there. And that's a shame. But I understand it. I don't I definitely don't dog it for that because it's just the way it's built.
Right.
And perhaps maybe people aren't driving these things as their daily rigs.
Yeah, and whatever, a trip like you're driving for 2 days at 80 miles an hour, it's going to wear a hole in it.
Totally.
So, and then the other thing was with the auto home, it's more aerodynamic. It's heavier than that front runner.
Oh yeah, it's definitely heavy.
But it's more aerodynamic, and
I remember putting that thing up there, and I'm hanging out of the back, and I'm like, any day now, it's getting heavy. I got it. No, you don't.
And the other major thing was rain, like packing it up in a rainstorm.
Oh yeah, that sucked.
Yeah.
Now mine sucked even more than that because mine was sitting on top of a trailer. And yours was nylon. Mine was heavyweight waxed canvas. Okay, so I want to tell you, when it got down to 40 degrees and you had, frost all over the tent, that waxed canvas, you just basically took a cheese grater to your knuckles, and you couldn't get it to fold. So there was no way you were folding that thing up, especially if you had the vestibule on there. It took us 2 people and almost 2 hours to get it fitted correctly. Now it was a 3-dog tent, and it was big, right? It was a queen-size mattress on top of that trailer. The only thing that was nice is it was only 3 feet off the ground because it was on top of the of that VMI trailer, which was really cool. But at the same time, once it got cold, that tent was your worst nightmare. And then you still had to put the cover on top of it. And by the time you were done, your knuckles were bloody, literally skinned raw, and you were just miserable and you hated life. So.
And you can't admit it to anybody.
You hear that?
Oh yeah, it's raining.
I should probably move the fire pit cover pretty soon. That's getting obnoxious. It's raining hard. Yeah, so that's a whole lot easier when the cord is on the outside of that auto home when you pop it up, and all you do is just pull that lid back down.
Yeah, it's got the shocks.
Yeah,
you just pull it right back down, and everything folds right within itself, and you hit the little latch, and you're done.
Yeah,
that's
totally.
It.
That was the only thing I didn't like about rooftop tents. The 10 Pui's, the 3-dog, the other ones, the front runner, and all the other ones. It just didn't. I never got behind it.
And it takes more real estate on your roof rack. But you know what? You shouldn't be putting, if you have a rooftop tent up there on your roof rack already, what else? You shouldn't be putting
any more weight up on top of your truck is a recipe for disaster.
So even though you have like another, say it takes up 3/4, you have another quarter amount of space on your roof rack for like jerry cans and
no. I used to put 4 jerry cans on the top of my roof rack in the back on the Defender, just because there was no weight back there. And the back of the Defender was naturally high, right? Because remember, I was rolling with no roof, just the roll cage and the roof rack.
Oh, right.
So I would put my 4 jerry cans up there, kind of, standing on their back. So they were standing on end, but not up in the, not like on their bottoms. It was on their back. So the valve for the gas can or the jerry can was on the top side. And then would hold those down with a couple ratchet straps. They didn't really make a really cool, they made a couple of them, but not for that OEM Land Rover rack, that basket rack. I could have taken the basket rack off later but this was back in the day where you didn't have many options for an NAS 90.
True.
But I would put that back there, and I would have to take those jerry cans off in order to put my rooftop tent up there. Well, it wasn't a rooftop tent. It was a 2-person REI half dome, and that's what went up there, baby. And they had little cutouts for the shot, for the fiberglass poles, and they fit in these little holes, and everyone was like, "Damn, man, you're sleeping up on top of your truck." And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to sleep on the ground in the mud and the cold. You guys are all down there where it's raining and wet. I'm up here where it's raining and dry. Let's see, I got rid of one of the variables. That's pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah, I still have pictures of that, me crawling out of the tent, just, like hanging out the back of the truck with my head on the roof rack, just kind of like, "Hey, what's up down there, dudes?" And you look at it now, and you're like, "Damn, that was cutting edge." I'm like, that was OG, baby.
Interesting. I still have that roof rack basket by Safety Devices.
Yeah, Safety Devices.
It's still sitting in my basement. If anybody's interested.
Oh, what is this now? Flea market podcast for Land Rover parts.
I don't think I could give that thing away these days.
The only good thing about buying a Land Rover Defender from somebody that put a couple of parts on it and everything is that you're getting a shit ton of extra parts with it.
Oh, right.
Like when you buy the truck, the guy's gonna look at you and be like, "Oh, hey, thanks for buying my truck. Hey, by the way, why don't you take this, and this, and I won't need it anymore. I've got a spare door. I got a spare hood. Just get it the hell out of my garage." But that's been kind of the goofy thing of Defender owners. But I guess the Jeep guys have that same problem. They go like, "Oh, I got a set of OEM doors, and I got those skeleton doors, and I got the fabric doors." Yeah, I'm honestly, I gotta say, and like you said last time, I think this part of my life is getting a little quiet as far as my tolerance for BS. Mm-hmm. Like I get in my truck, I want to hit the starter. I think my 4Runner, I smoked that because it didn't come with heated seats. Right, because I got the trail edition. Oh, yeah,
I remember how hot those things would get. It was nice.
Those were the ceramics.
Those are nice.
Yeah, so I put those in those neoprene seats. Those but they were waterproof seats in that trail in 2012, right? Was it 2012? What year was that thing? I think it was a 12.
I think that sounds right.
Right? Who cares? It's the 3rd gen or 5th gen. That was the first 5th. Yeah, had a manual transfer case. And that was dope. Right, because I had the automatic, and then I had the manual transfer case. But that's.
Did you say dope?
I said dope. We're not in Colorado, so it's illegal. At least the record. No. That's for my glaucoma.
Till January 1st.
Yeah, right. There we go. Dope heads on the corner. Pedaling for cash, getting in the Uber when the guy went like, "Hey man, you guys want some Hawaiian Red?" Some people are sitting there going, "Hey Dad, what's Hawaiian Red?" "Oh, don't worry about it. That's nothing." But it's really interesting because the rooftop tent thing has become such a craze.
It has,
and nobody really gets to use it. And the only thing I'm looking at is keeping my rack clean. Because there's only one thing I'm putting on my roof rack that means anything to me.
What's that?
And that's 4 You heard me right. 4 max tracks.
Okay.
Right? Because where I'm wheeling at now is at the ranch.
Right.
And in Northwest Indiana is notoriously known for sandy, boggy mud. And this stuff just collapses under your tires. And we were driving along, it hadn't rained for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And we were driving along in one of the other farmers' fields as we were looking for property. And we're driving along, and all of a sudden the truck started to bog down. Like you just brrr. I'm like, what? And the traction control is coming on, telling me that the wheels are slipping and stuff. So I had to quick turn that off, hit tow mode, slap it down in the low range, hit the 4-wheel drive, and literally we sunk 9 inches into the earth inside of 10 feet. And it went from dry, sandy to like this quicksand. And it was like, sucked the truck right to the frame rails. And if I didn't slam on it and use all 400 horsepower, I was not getting out of there. And I wasn't carrying my max tracks or anything. I'm like, it hasn't rained. Now I carry a shovel, and I'm back to the old days of snatch blocks and toe straps and the max tracks. That's all I keep up there. I think I'm going to be looking at it, that one of the Oz tents.
Nice, yeah.
I like the idea of just cutting bait. So if I want to set up camp, if I'm going hunting or whatever, I'll set up an Oz tent. I'll modify it so I can run a wood burning stove in it. One of the small titanium stoves. And then I'll do that, and I'll set that up so I can split with my truck and not have to worry about, lugging my tent with me. But for road trips, and you're only, you're stopping, camping overnight in one spot.
Right.
They're indispensable. They're really awesome. So, all right. So, future plans, right? Because that's all we've got done, right? Oh, no. Wait a minute. We just put the drawer system in the back. We finished that.
Very true.
Yeah. Who made the drawer system? That was Front Runner?
That was by Front Runner as well.
All right. So this is becoming like a Front Runner showpiece. I think we need to call those boys and be like, hey,
exactly.
Like, okay, come on now. We've spent enough money. Let's get a little help here, friends.
We could add some pictures for your webpage at the very least.
At the very least, right? I mean, this thing is looking dope. So, all right. So the tray is in. So the seats are gone. We put in the Front Runner toolbox in the back, or drawer system. Yeah.
So in the rear seats has the 60/40 configuration.
Mm-hmm.
We got rid of the 60 and left the 40, which was actually your idea because I wanted to get rid of the 60 and the 40.
Yeah.
But it does make sense to leave the third seat, so it's not just a 2-seater, because you never know when you're going to need that.
You've always got a third wheel coming along. You've always got one. I mean, if we were going for dinner or something, we always had a third person in the truck.
Yeah.
And they had to sit on top of in the Defender or in the 4Runner, because that 60% seat was always folded down for all the Yeti coolers and fridge or whatever. And so we always carried the rumble seat, which I call the rumble seat, right? The 40% seat, which is a single.
Yeah.
I don't know why they call it a 60/40, because it's really just, it's a third.
True.
It's a third, right?
That's true.
It's one seat. And I think that's going to do a lot better. So then we said, and we took that other piece and we made a template out of it.
Yeah.
Right? So what we did is we cut a big piece of, I don't want to call it MDF, right? Because we used plywood.
Yeah, we actually used some good plywood.
Some good plywood, which is a ton stronger. That's going to hold up longer. And you were able to find carpet.
Yeah, that matched the interior.
The OEM.
Yeah, the OEM, which wasn't too hard. It was just black, so it's pretty easy to match black on black for the most part. But yeah, it matches pretty well along with the Front Runner. Drawers have a black carpet on the top of that. So that all
blended. That way your big Dometic fridge fits in that on the driver's side.
Correct, yeah.
Right. But you're able to take it in and out.
Yes.
Yeah, that's important. So we put some bolts there. We put some tie down points with more of the aluminum track, bolt track.
The airline cargo track.
Airline cargo track, right?
Yeah.
So it matches the Front Runner track.
Yeah.
So you can still use all your same bolts off that, and that's what we had talked about briefly in the other episode. Was that you need to have a little bit of continuity, because if you start going someplace, you're really going to have to start thinking about and that was the other thing that we had talked about earlier. One of the next things was planning a trip. Like, actually, what do you need to do to plan the trip and think through all those problems? So this gets into one of those things of like, I don't want to have two different mounting, adapters. I want to have one mounting adapter.
Right.
So if one breaks, I can always pirate one off of another
Or if I
piece.
need another one over here and
exactly
one less over here.
Yeah, you can move them around and do all that kind of stuff. So without like, oops, I left them on the side of the road when we were there and we were trying to get to the jack or something like that. So the rear floor has now been raised, right? So we leveled that.
And it came out beautifully. Like it looks factory.
Yeah. We matched those couple angles. We went from rounded to angled to like back to a round and stuff. So we got that right behind the driver's side, and there's tons of room underneath the floor.
Yes.
For stuffing all of like a tool roll and stuff like that you're going to need.
Sure.
That's not taking up space in the trunk, in the drawers.
Yeah.
So you can go back and forth between those two things, and there you go. So we did that. The airline track.
And keeping the 40, like even if, say, there's an emergency with another vehicle and that person now has to jump in your truck.
Yeah.
Now you have that seat.
Totally.
So
the seat still folds up.
It folds, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, you still have cargo room there. While it's probably only going to be for soft duffels or overnight bags or carry-on stuff like that, but you still have some room there. That's convertible, so at least you can carry an extra person.
And I could go pick up my parents at the airport when I need to.
I'm telling you, it was just in my eyes, it was the smarter move because I always found myself in my 4Runner using that last seat, that extra spare seat on the passenger side rear, and I would have to undo everything and move these big Pelican cases full, because that's where one of the major Pelican cases sat, was on the back side of that chair folded down, because it was on the passenger side, so it was on the internal side of the road. So when we pull off the side of the road for doing some photography, that was where I did all my loading and unloading of which lens I was taking, which body I was taking, and then clap back down the Pelican case and shut the door. And I was always having to remove that when somebody else jumped in the truck. And it was inevitable. Like we would grab the Scout. One of the guys would come and he was helping us scout around, and then boom, my passenger had to go into the rear seat, the Scout went in the front seat, and we were constantly moving around. So, I mean, I use that religiously in that configuration. So that's why I was nudging you that way. And was like, think this through.
Yes, and I totally appreciate that. It came out well.
That worked out good.
Yeah, it worked good.
Yeah. So what else? So you got some plans for the future, right? Because you're not done.
No, definitely not done. And I'm an electrician by trade, so we gotta add some electronics of some
Yeah, I'm
sort.
like, you gotta start hanging some lights off this bad boy pretty soon.
Let's do something. But then that gets into a whole nother world, because now we're talking modern Mercedes electronics.
I think I told you this. Do you know how big that wire loom is in that truck?
Well, you did tell me that, but I forget
Stretched
what you
out
said.
end to end, 9 miles.
That's a lot of wire.
There was a gentleman that I was working with, does a lot of custom car creations and modifications and restorations and that, and got a brand new G Wagon, came in, it was wrecked. Or it wasn't wrecked. They were putting a different motor in it. They had some big, huge AMG motor that they were putting in this thing that didn't come from Mercedes. So they need to change out the wire loom or splice into the wire loom for the new electronics for the engine management and everything. Oh, it was a nightmare. We took out the entire wire loom of that truck, laid it out on the floor in an entire clean bay, right? And we were talking with the Mercedes North America chief engineer. He came into Chicago to look at this. And he saw this wire loom on the floor, and he's like, "Oh my God, what did you do?" He had this strange accent. I don't know where he was from, but he's like, "What did you do? You cannot do this. You have just taken apart the piece of German engineer." I'm like, "Relax, pal. It had to be done. We're putting that engine in it." And he's like, "Oh, do you know what you're doing?" I'm like, "We're going to figure it out pretty quick, I guess, or maybe not so quick." And he's like, "You don't understand. That's 9 miles of wire." And I'm like, "Sure does look like it." Imagine taking a ball of string, right? Like fat string or something, and balling up 9 miles back and forth in your garage. Just woo, woo, back. It was a nightmare.
No.
So that's the only thing I'm like cringing. That when you start splicing in, outside of just taking a hot lead off the battery in that back compartment. Ooh.
I got a game plan though.
You got a game plan?
Yeah.
All right, let's have it.
Well, so we got to add a second battery.
Yeah.
An auxiliary battery.
But who's going to do the switch? Are you going to use a red aux switcher?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna go with the red aux. Or red arc.
Red arc.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the bag people that I would hang around with in Colorado.
The battery management system, which is a cool setup.
That's kind of like the industry standard, though.
Their company or
Red arc. Like, isn't red arc found in like most of the Australian, ute trucks?
Yeah, and actually, though I called them about a month ago because I had some questions on setting it up and wiring, and they show a 1-800 number on the U.S. website, thinking that you're going to get someone in the U.S.
Oh, thank you for calling Dubai. I mean, Red Microsoft.
No.
Oh wait, today's Wednesday. This is Red Arc. Hello.
Well, no. So what the really cool thing is it actually called Australia, which from here, calling Australia from here in Chicago is like if you're calling on a Monday, it's
like Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday at 3 a.m. in Australia, and
you actually got to talk to somebody.
Oh yeah, and he knew everything. And as an electrician, as my trade, talking with him, he knew wiring. He knew what he was talking about because, of course, someone could just say, "Oh yeah, from this diagram, blah blah blah," and I was trying to stay. I had some differences from their main wiring diagram.
Sure. Yeah.
So, is he going to know what I'm talking about, or is he going to, send me on the right path?
Yeah.
Or is he just going to try to, keep me to the exact diagram that only they
keep
know?
You on script.
Yeah. So he knew exactly what I was trying to do, and he, thought out of the box, and he knew exactly what he was talking about. And he sat there and he talked with me probably for a good 45 minutes.
Good.
And it was a pleasure. Their customer service was amazing.
Good. Now most people don't understand how big this type of activity is in Australia. Like
That's
this is
true.
This is their weekends.
Right.
They jump in the lorry and woo, they're gone. And they haul big trailers with whole kitchen setups and massive awnings and tons of tent space and generators and like their idea of a weekend getaway is not to a hotel. They drive out to the outback. They drive to the coast. They drive to the beach. I mean, that's just the Australian way. So, I mean, when you're talking about Red Arc battery management, you're talking battery management. Red Arc isn't like all the serious ute builds. The guys for what? All for Fun. Those two crazy guys. The one guy is always walking around with a sleeveless, the cut off sleeves. Oh, what the hell's his name? Oh God, I can see him, and I can see the one guy like, oh mate, you got to put on some clothes, and he's always walking around without a shirt on. He's all ripped and stuff. And, oh, come on, it's all for fun, or is it all for? Oh, this is killing me. All right, I got to look this up.
You got to look it up.
I got to look it up, but. That's they've really cut their teeth on that. That is a serious thing because when you get into the outback and you kill the battery on your truck, you're not push starting your vehicle, your diesel.
Yeah.
Okay, you're in a flat land. It ain't happening. You got to wait for somebody to drive by, and you're probably 100 miles outside of someplace.
True.
So I think it's all for.
Yeah, and this system is really nice. You can hook it up. So you have the ability to, even if you don't do it all at once, you could add things as you go, like say solar panels. If you could hook up solar panels directly to it. Of course, you can also hook up, if these aren't your daily drivers and your vehicle sits in the garage or storage for long periods of time, you could actually hook it up to a 120 volt outlet and keep it charged.
Sure, you can put a battery tender on it, and that's a heartbeat.
Yeah, which is
Right?
really nice. So things that you don't have to do, but it has the ability to achieve. So it's really nice.
I still can't find this. It's got a weird name, and I know it's not all for one. It's for, and if someone's listening to this right now and they're going,
All for one.
they're like,
Battery management systems.
It's like, what's wrong with you, you moron? You're supposed to be like at the top of the food chain in this stuff, and you don't remember these boys? I can see it. It just, it's driving me nuts.
There's a lot of stuff out there.
Yeah.
For sure.
But they use it in their utes, and they just built a brand new one. Alu Cab, and who's the other guy? The big. We were just talking about it today. Not Norwell. It was Patriot.
Patriot, yes.
Patriot, yeah. That's it. They'll probably find it like that from Patriot Campers. They use that exclusively in their boxes, and they're using now. They're remanufacturing Ram 15 or 2500s. I think they're using the 2500 diesels over there. So they take them in and they convert them over to a right-hand drive, which is really kind of cool. But it's coming with a factory Dodge warranty and everything, and then they put 35-inch tires on the thing. I mean, it's crazy, right? So I mean, they're starting to go the way. Let's see, Ram 2500. Here it is. They're going the way the U.S. is, bigger rigs and stuff like that, because they can get away with it because they've got such large expanses to go through. Let's see, and this is nothing new. I mean, when I was working with VMI back in 2016, I want to say,
Right.
they were already doing those big conversions on the back of large 2500 Rams, and it was going over really well. That's who I was working for when I was doing the trailer sales the second time here in the Midwest, but it was still way too early.
Right.
I think it's just now finally caught on. But Patriot Campers, they use it. A lot of other guys use it, and it's their OEM go-to. So if you're going to do any type of spare battery and do any type of solar spare battery management crossovers, because you can hit the button, say your main house battery is going dead, and you need to start the car. You push a button and it crosses both batteries, and you'll get all the juice, just like a boat.
Exactly.
I mean, these are things that are put in a regular boat.
That's true. Yeah.
Right. So my offshore boat had the house bank, which was 2 batteries, and then it had the starter batteries, which are 2, one for each motor, and then it had an auxiliary battery bank of 2 batteries sitting in reserve. And then all you had to do was flip the switch and then hold the bypass button, and it would use all 4 batteries to start the car, to start the engines and everything. So you could run the batteries all the way down on the middle of the ocean and still have enough power to start the engines and get back home. So that's pretty important. All right, so there we go. We got batteries. And what lights are you going to put on there? Do you know yet?
I don't know. I'm thinking I go between no lights because I have these ultra expensive headlights.
Yeah, I can see that, right? I mean, that's what I'm looking to do. The Tundra is just kind of keep it kind of minimalistic because, after all, I mean, how much light can you really use before it gets just absolutely like a bug magnet for people living on Mars or something?
And I don't know. I just don't want to.
All for adventure.
No way.
Yeah, it's all for adventure. Those are the Simon and come on, what is that bloke's name? He's always walking around flip flops or bare feet. Yeah, Jess and Simon. They've got a great channel. They really do. They've got an awesome channel, and they do that camp cooking. You remember that? Like, all right, we're gonna make Simon some pancakes for dinner. And it's a really good feed. Those boys are really they're hardcore in it, but they run that as an expedition company, and they take people into the bush fishing.
Yeah. Very cool.
All right, so we got all that. What else?
Yeah. So lights, I don't know. Do I?
Are you changing gearing?
No.
You don't think you need to?
No.
It's going to be highway. It's going to be 99% highway anyway.
True.
And once you hit low range in that truck is pretty stiff.
It's good. I think those boys at Mercedes did a good job with all that. So just keep my.
I think you do need to put at least one spread, real thin, maybe a single row LED spot up on the roof.
Maybe.
Because you can tuck it right on that outside edge of that front runner bracket. And then it's just one single. It's not a dual. It's not crazy nuts. It's just a single row Baja or rigid. I guess we could get away with the Chinese stuff too. I mean, some of that stuff is really nice. I mean, it's pretty.
They
amazing.
Copied it really well.
Yeah, they did, didn't they? They did one hell of a job at copying. Sorry, Rigid. I love you guys, but the roof, the amount of lights I put on the last couple trucks, it just. I look at it now and I'm like trying to get rid of a couple things, like my 40.
Oh yeah,
the 40 or 42 inch bar, and everyone's looking at me like, "What? I can get like twice the amount of light out of China for $200."
Right.
And I'm like, "What? But this is a Rigid," and they're like, "I don't care." So it's like you get to a certain point, and you're like, "Oh, longevity of that thing," and next truck, and especially when you put it on a full size rig, that's 50 to 52 inches. That you're not using that anywhere else. At least my 40 inch, I can put on my roof rack in the back and use it as one single blinder light.
True. Yeah.
That'd
be nice.
That's cool. I gotta have to diffuse that somehow with whatchamacallit. I have to go get some of that. You know what? I got it. I know how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go get a simple strip of scrap from the local car wrap place, and I'm gonna get some of that translucent wrap. The flat translucent.
Right.
And I'm gonna cover the light bar with it
To just kind of give it
just a glow.
Okay.
Just a glow, because I don't want it to be spot, because that thing's obnoxious. It's dual. It's got the floods on the outside, because that came off my 4Runner as the primary light up top. So it's got 3 banks, or it's 2 rows, 3 banks of spot, and then 1 bank on each end for flood. And if I put that on the back of the truck and turn that on, you're gonna need sunglasses.
Sure.
You're gonna need to walk around with a welding helmet on back there. But if I put an awning off the back of it and then I point it up into the awning, then you've got diffused light hitting a reflector or another type of reflector.
Nice. Yeah.
It definitely throws out a lot of light.
I started thinking, because I do have these big 9-inch LED round spotlights.
Oh, those have to go on the grill.
No, I have 4 of them.
I know, but
I just go large and just go bring it back to that retro look and just do 4 across the top.
Oh, God,
camel trophy style.
Oh, that'd be cool, but it's so retro and that truck is looking so sleek.
Kind of, but it's still got the cube.
Yeah, I know it's still got the cube, but wait. We'll put 2 in the bumper, right? You got 2 extras, right? You put 1 inside the cab on a handle. with a whatchamacallit, with a pigtail, or what do you call those things? The coil, right?
Yeah.
We'll go over to the supply shop and we'll get the 10-foot coil or something like that. The 4th one, I got it. Your back tire, the spare tire?
Right.
Build a bracket, stick it right inside that hollowed out part of the spare tire. Inside the rim?
Yeah.
Yeah. Put it right back there and just point it, 10 degrees down. And use that as your backup, blinder. Oh, hey, wonder what's back there 300 yards away. Is that someone following me home? Melt their retinas right out. Those things are massively bright. I don't even. And those are Chinese things, right?
Yeah, they were copied after the ARB.
And the ARBs, intensity, which were, they were actually, whose lights were those? Were Baja lights?
No, they're copied after the ARB ones.
Yeah, but the ARBs were Baja lights.
Oh, are they?
I'm pretty sure ARB don't make.
It's the big 9. I swear they're copied down exactly.
Yeah, totally. Even with the little ARB logo that's been scratched off in the mold, they molded it, and they're like, "Oh, we can't do that. We got to scratch out the logo."
But the thing is, though, what's horrible is those ARB intensity lights are 90 watts. The ones that I have are 200 and I believe they're 285. They're sick.
Well, I know
So-
you hooked one up one afternoon in broad daylight. And it was like, ow! That's like, you remember those old, like the Hellas that we used to put on our whatchamacallit?
Yep.
The pencil beams.
Yeah, the 8-inch pencil beam.
Yeah,
with the 4000s.
The heli, 4000s and 3000s. Like the 4000s had that really weird metal housing, right? Kevin had those on his Discovery. He had the 4000s with the rally lens, and then I just had 4 pencil beams on mine. I had 4 jerk lights up front.
But yeah, the way it's horrible. I mean, they're copied down to the finest details, except they leave the ARB logo off, and their aluminum housing. They're actually come with stainless steel bolts, and
It's amazing what you can get somebody to do for a bowl of rice a day, isn't it?
It's crazy. I mean, somebody's got to fix this.
Hey, we're not going there. I'm tired of listening to it. Everyone's like, rah, 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 rah. I think that no one's able to save the country. I don't think so. I think we're so far gone and we're so far down the rabbit hole that even if somebody were to come in and not be part of any type of regime. Now, remember.
Wait, are you talking about broadly, or are you talking about our manufacturing?
No, broadly. Like, we've got so many problems that are just systemic and growing out of control. It's like a virus that's running through our government. And maybe it's just our time to collapse. I don't know.
Well,
all right, we're not going there.
Yeah.
We'll leave that off. The societal collapse. And
ooh, I'm unprepared for that one.
You're getting a little sweaty there. All right, so we got the interior is pretty much done then. Outside of mounting up the fridge. And that, right? I mean, are you putting in
Almost.
a iPad holder or anything like that?
Nah. No.
You don't think so?
No.
Two-way radios? What are you doing?
Ham.
Okay. Just regular old duckies?
I'm doing the what did I go with? Oh no. I'm just having one of those moments. It's an ICOM.
Oh.
Yeah, it's nice.
Well, it's a G Wagon, you gotta represent proper.
You can't
proper.
Yeah, it's a G Wagon, and people are gonna be like, why? Why? Because it goes down the street really fast from destination A to B across interstate highways.
I'm going to die laughing when you get pulled over. You go rolling through the hood or something. You could take a wrong turn off 290. Next thing you get boom, boom, boom. You get a little electronic music boasting there, a little reggae. And the cops just be like, yeah, whatever, Whitey. Get out of the truck. I'm going to go through this thing.
But B, I mean, it's built really heavy duty. That frame, those axles, everything about it is just built to the max.
They took what the Brits did. They removed all the stupid wax paper gaskets and the school bus rear ends, and they said, "No, we Germans, we do this right."
It's amazing.
You go eat your fish and chips, Mr. Dental Boy.
It's amazing to crawl under there.
Yeah,
and see nothing, no leaks.
Nothing,
Everything's just dry. It's crazy.
It's just like that Toyota.
And no rust. I go, it's a 2013. I go into there. I'm like looking for rust or where something,
It was the nanny's car before you got it. What are you doing?
But they have.
It went into the school and came back to the garage,
which is great too. Which is another reason, But to have it, but they put this. Their undercoating, like no joke,
you got to look at my undercoating on the Tundra. It's
so
crazy thick.
Yeah, and it's just over
everything. I'm gonna
go
take a look at yours the next time I'm over, right? But you got to take a look at mine too. It's like somebody came by with cake batter. I was like, wow, that's quite a bit. And then I'm like, yeah, but we live here in Chicago. We've got tons of salt on the road.
It's good.
And now we've got that stupid sodium bichloride additive that's in there. That ate those plates right off my... Now, what would I have? 3/16-inch plates, steel plates on the bottom of my 4Runner from Schrockworks. Mm-hmm. And that was front to rear, gas tank, belly pan, and front skid. And those things were eaten alive. And we primed them with three coats of serious, rust-inhibited primer after we got done stripping them with xylene and acetone. So, I mean, those things were sterile when I painted them. And it ate it clean off. Wow. I was like, oh. So, yeah, it's kind of nice to have that because my 4Runner wasn't sprayed like that. But I appreciate that, especially being in the Midwest, because that stuff is ruthless now. Yeah. I mean, eats through snow shovels. It's I don't even know why we're doing it, but
yeah, it's so lame to see your truck just
go away.
Yeah, rust away from
what? And then that stuff is running. It's
driving down the street.
Yeah, and it's running off the road. And it's going into the grass. It kills all the trees along the sides of the road. It kills everyone's grass. It's going into the water for the animals. The local shallow water supply. It's going into the rivers that ultimately go back, and it's sterilizing everything. It's just horrible stuff. Hey, look, if you can't drive in the snow, stay home, right? Yeah. I mean, like in Norway, I think they teach kids how to drive starting at age 13, and they got to drive for 3 years at school before they get their driver's license at 16. Or definitely the Finns, right? So there's a thing in World Rally Racing. There's a saying that says, if you want to win, employ a Finn. Yeah. And it's like, I laughed at it, but all the World Rally drivers, they're all Finnish. They're all Finns. Because they've been doing nothing but flat sliding Volvo station wagons downhill at, 75 kilometers an hour.
Interesting.
And learning how to pull out of it, learning how to brake without ABS brakes, not wind up in the hospital because they hit a caribou. Right. Oh, there's a caribou. I'm going to go sideways, hit the e-brake. Boom. Dinner. Ringing the dinner bell. All right, so the truck's pretty much done.
Yeah, I got some room, and then just like you, I'm into photography and videography, so I need to have space to tie down these Pelican cases full of equipment.
Whoa.
What?
Well, what would you say? Like me? You're into photography and like me?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Well, let's get one thing straight. Yes. I'm up here.
Oh.
You're down here.
I've heard this. I've heard this before.
It was perfect setup. Oh my God, it was perfect. Oh my God. I could never say that with a straight face. I mean, that was rude. I mean, that was absolutely psychopathic.
A little bit.
Yeah, that was definitely psychopathic. All right, so those of you listening, the inside joke crap has got to stop. But here it is. Somebody said that to you.
Yeah,
a mutual
can you
friend
imagine
of ours.
if you had a friend.
You had a quote-unquote friend that had been around for a long time. And then one afternoon he saw you doing something that he was doing, but you'd been doing it longer, but he just didn't know about it. And you're like, no, you have no business doing that because I'm up here and you're down here. And it's like, you told me that? And you saw the look on my face like, what? Like, I think I would have put his dentist in a higher tax bracket. I would have seriously knocked out every single one of his teeth. And the ones I couldn't knock out, I would break out with a pair of pliers.
Definitely. It's one of those moments you're like, wait, maybe you didn't mean quite that, or
what other way are you supposed to take that?
Am I not hearing this correctly? Did I just miss something?
But I do have to say this. Thank you. Because now we've got a piece of content or a piece of rhetoric that we can use for everybody in every single situation. We're like, whoa, let's get this straight. I'm up here. You're down here. So something good did come from it, right?
True, very true.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, no, you're right. You need to be able to strap down some of those boxes sometimes because when you're going off road, you hit a couple bumps and the back end of the truck just bunny hops. And yeah, I know it's in the Pelican case and everything, but you don't want to be taking chances. And well, here, the box jumps and hits the side window. Oops.
Yeah.
Cracked the window.
Right.
So, I mean, it's not just protecting the equipment, it's protecting the inside of the vehicle. And your occupants, if you slam on the brakes and hit something, or God forbid you go to roll the truck, you do not want that 50-pound Pelican case coming forward and hitting you in the back of the head.
No. That's the last thing.
Yeah, exactly. Just like that big, 200-pound Dometic fridge with all those Red Bulls in it. No, I don't want that thing smashing. Oh, wait. You get the ice cream sandwiches in there, too.
Yeah, the ice cream sandwiches.
Yeah, I remember that story. It was cool. So for those of you guys out there listening, this is pretty funny. He's like standing there. It's like, 105 degrees outside. Everyone's sweltering. You guys are off-roading.
Well, this was before electric fridges were, the quote-unquote norm.
Yeah, because you had that ARB fridge.
No, it was an Engel.
It was an Angle.
Yeah.
It was an Angle. You had that small Angle in your Land Rover, in your Defender.
Yeah.
So you guys were sitting around at the Land Rover Club. You were doing something. You were up at Lake Geneva or something, right?
Yeah, and 5 days into the camping trip.
The pipeline trip.
Yeah, I pull it out. And, at that point, everybody's cooler is just, lukewarm water sloshing around, and I'm pulling out ice cream sandwiches.
It's a goldfish bowl.
So, yeah, it was pretty funny for the moment.
Everyone's standing there, and they're all parched and like, I could really go for something cool right now. And you're such a prick. You come out, what, like ice cream sandwich? Oh, I didn't offer you one?
I only have 4.
Where'd you get the ice cream from? Oh, I didn't tell you. I have a freezer in the back of my truck. Yeah, that was back in 1999?
Yeah.
2000?
Well, it was, that early 2000s. So
I just remember when I started bolting up a power tank in the back of my truck.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't break anything on my truck, on my Defender. There was no real big stuff to break on a Defender. Mm-hmm. I mean, the axles were built out of peg iron.
Right.
But we would go off-roading and everybody else would have braking axles. And so we were doing, axle changes out on the trail. So I said, all right, fine, I'll put some air tools in the back of my truck. So I put an impact wrench and a ratchet and a big coiled up, 20-foot hose. And I put a power tank back there. Because I came back from Utah one year and everyone out there was running them. And that was back in 1997, 1999. I said, oh, that's cool. So I mounted a power tank in the back of my truck. And come back and everyone's like, whoa, what's that? I'm like, here, watch. Plug it in, turn it on. See? Now I can switch out an axle right in the middle of the trail in under 5 minutes. And they're like, whoa. I turn my back and 5 minutes later, everybody is like, it was the time I had to, I switched from my Defender and I went to my Avalanche.
Yeah.
And I remember meeting our friend. Seeing my friend again at Seal and News. I flipped the words. I've always done that for some reason. And I walked up and he's like, oh, yeah, would you hand me that out of the back of the truck? And I opened his back door and I'm like, what? And he's got this big drawer system in the back. He's got the power tank and air tools and stuff. I'm like, what? Next thing I know, you're going to be driving an Avalanche. And he's like, boy, you got to be like that. I'm like, back of your truck looks like mine. It's a simple jab. I mean, come on, get with it, dude. At least you could say, well, of course I copied your truck. It was set up to the nines, man. That's brilliant. All you had to do was say, yeah, because I got it from someplace, and I told everybody where I got it from. You got to see the rigs out in Utah now. They're all running power tanks and power welders. There was, who is it? Premium Power? Is that it? There was an under the hood welder. Premier Power. I think that's what it was. And they were running these welders under the hood that you could literally just hook up the points to it, start your car or whatever, and you had an arc welder right there. So you could make adjustments or, stuff right in the field.
Nice.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's where that's how you spell it. Premier Power Welder.
They're out of business.
No, they're not. It's just premierpowerwelder.com.
Because it was so long ago.
This is one company, not like Southdown. You remember those guys?
Oh, yeah.
They made some really kick-ass,
true.
Some skid plates. What? Look at that. It hasn't changed in 25 years. The ultimate portable welding system for your vehicle. Yep. premierpowerwelder.com. How about that?
Don't want to change a good thing.
Nope, can't. So I guess that's about it. You're pretty much set. You're going to throw an icon, so you're going ham radio. Are you going to put one of the FRS or the GMRS mobile units?
I will, so I could talk to you.
It's just handy, right?
Yeah, but
more people carry that GRMS radio than they do, and they only do the GRMS because it's got a full 4.5 watts or something, right? So it goes a little bit further. Everyone's got an FRS or that GRMS band radio. I mean, not everyone's got a ham. but I carry all three, right? So I've got the ham. So I'm doing 2 meter, 440, 10 meter. So I got CB, which you're not really supposed to. You're not really supposed to do that, but so there'll be 10 meter, and then I got the GRMS radio. So I mean, and everything's sitting there in the truck. So if there's somebody passenger wants to jump out the other side, they can grab a FRS radio, and I'll just call them FRS radios. It's pretty easy, but FRS radio, and run up the trail and still be able to talk to me in the truck. So there's like double redundancies or triple systems set in place for different things, right? But I did see one kid. He's got a ton of videos. The content's very good. He's got a lot of information. Last line of defense. He's got a cell booster. And once he posted that, he's got this weird fat ducky antenna hanging off his roof rack. And it looks like some sort of, SATCOM system out of, SOCOM.
Cool.
Yeah, totally. Like it looks like it came out of some of the NORAD systems. The JDAM JDAM repeater system for the smart bomb. As soon as he posted that, I watched everybody else on YouTube videos. They all ran out and bought one of these $400 cell phone boosters and bolted the side of their truck. And they're like, "Oh yeah, and of course I've got to have a cell phone booster built by so and so and blah blah blah." And I'm watching it going, yeah, sure. I'm like, I know out west, you got your cell phone, and as soon as you get up in the mountains, it like hits 1 bar, no service, 1 bar, no service.
Sure.
I got it, and we're all dependent on our cell phones and everything. But at that point, just get yourself the Spot Messenger, DeLorme InReach, or something like that uses satellite. I mean, you can always reach somebody. Do we really have to be on the phone uploading Instagram pictures from the trail?
Yes.
Well, that's what I'm going to do on the toilet for the next 3 weeks after I come home. I mean, I got to have something to do while I'm sitting on the throne every morning, right? I mean, like, oh, honey, what are you doing? Don't bug me. I'm doing Instagram. You know I've got to do this stuff every morning.
Clockwork.
Yeah, clockwork. Don't interrupt me. It went back. Crawl back up. All right, so radios done. Drawer system done.
Yep.
Back floor done. Anything else internally done that's not done? Are you putting like skeezer nets on the top to hold maps and stuff like the old days?
No.
Okay. You're not doing an iPad holder?
No.
Okay. Or a tablet holder or anything?
No.
No? You're not going to run the Gia GPS?
No, I'll do a GPS, but
you got to check out that app. That one, and DeLorme's got one, I think, for the InReach. It kind of mirrors it. I just saw it the other day, so I don't know what it is or how it works. But I know the Gia, you can download what maps you're going to or whatever, and then load it. So that's our trip that we're doing up north. That's how I planned most of that stuff, because I was able to download each individual map system, and then where that one stopped, a different datum picked up, and you were able to just put it along the route and then save it. So it doesn't need a GPS. You don't need any sat signal. You don't need any cell phone signal. It just runs off the GPS in the tablet, and that's that.
Very cool.
And power.
But back in the day, a dirt road will go this way and it'll go that way.
Till you get to the fork in the road.
No forks. No forks.
No forks, just spoons.
Way
just
or
spoons.
that way. And since you're going that way, you just keep going that way.
Well, that was the back then, it was pretty easy because you could get maps to most everything. Now, there's no one in a ranger station.
Yeah.
Right? I remember going up to the pipeline in Wisconsin. I'd go to the ranger station, and some cute little girl would come up out and be like, "Oh, hi, what is that truck all about?" And I'm like, "Well, this is what we're doing." You're like, "Oh, you're going to need this map, and this map, and this map, and this map." I said, "What do you want? What do I owe you? $5." Oh, done. Okay. Then here's my sister in the passenger seat, and she's reading I had 2 GPS systems in my Defender. One was just meat and potatoes, Latin lawn. And it was a marine-based system, right? So it had a really good receiver on it and such. And then I had my Street Pilot, which was laying breadcrumbs and that kind of thing. So double redundancy as always, right? And then she's sitting there, she's looking at the numbers, and she's looking at the map, and she's looking at the numbers, she's looking at the map, and she looks at me and she goes, "I think we're heading into a swamp." And I'm like, look at her. I'm like, what? This is her first. Meanwhile, remember, from Chicago up to Nicolet National Forest is like, what, a 5-hour drive?
Yeah, 5.5.
5.5 hour
maybe
drive?
6.
Yeah. So I'm like, nah, she didn't learn how to read Latin law on the way up there. And sure as hell she didn't. She's sitting there on her Breitling watch, which has some sort of like astronaut, slide rule built into the bezel or whatever.
Right.
And she keeps screwing around with this thing, and she's doing calculations and taking notes and everything. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, leave me alone. And I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. Sure as hell, 5.5 hours later, we're going into the trails, and she's like, I think we're driving into a swamp. I'm like, shut up, you don't know what you're doing. And this is back before maps actually were digitized.
Yeah.
Right? You could just, once you got off road, it was done. If the fire access road was not listed
right
on that card that went into your Street Pilot, which at the time was like the bomb, you didn't know where you were going if you didn't have a map. Right? So back to your comment, yeah, it only goes this way and it only goes that way. You run this way until you hit a block, and then you come back and you try the other one. She sat there and she said this, and I was like, whatever, you don't know what you're talking about. So I ripped the map out of her hand, right? And I stop, and Kevin was in front of us, and he didn't have a winch. And he's like, no, I want to go first. I'm like, well, you don't have a winch. His winch didn't come in, whatever. It's before we left. And I'm like, no, I should go first. Oh, you always lead. I'll do it. And I'm like, whatever. And we go along. I look at the map, and I look at the Latin lawn, and I look at the map again, and I throw the map back at my sister. I'm like, shut up! You don't know what you're talking about, because that's where we were going. We were driving right into a big ass swamp.
Oh no!
And that's where we sat for 5 hours.
Yeah.
Digging our way out of that swamp, pulling trees out of the mud, almost having one fall on top of the truck, sleeping in the swamp. Yeah, sleeping in the swamp. I could have killed him after that. And that was the night that was the day he told me to leave my shotgun behind. Oh, yeah. And that's when we had those guys creeping on us in the middle of the forest in the middle of the night. That was freaky. Yeah, we won't go there. We don't need to go there. I mean, everyone can use their own judgment and choose their own path, whether they're going to carry a firearm in the truck or not. But
right.
I had a policy, and he's like, man, why you got to be like that all the time, carrying a gun? And I'm like, because deer don't bite. And he just looked at me. He could never wrap his head. I'm like, because, a moron in the woods with a shovel is going to ruin my life. That's why. They just bonk you over the head.
Right.
Because they're just going to take your truck or root through it and everything, and now you're crippled, or you got to, so it's just bad. But I think that kind of wraps it up, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna
so.
Install those last couple radios, that last radio, and tidy up some wires, and I'm gonna try and get you to put that light up on top, because it's just thin bar. Let's just yeah.
Yeah, in fact, as soon as we get done with the podcast, come on by and let's get that finished up.
Let's do it. That sounds good. I got time this week.
Nice.
Let's tighten that up, and I guess that's about it, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that was a really good episode. Thanks, Ryan, for jumping on again.
Absolutely. Thanks again for having me. I always enjoy myself here.
Thank you. It was a fun time. I know the listeners are probably sitting there, the whole 12 listeners we have at this minute. But everyone, if you enjoyed this, make sure to check out the next couple series. We'll be doing another vehicle series. I think we're going to start Project Tundra. That one's not as involved as yours.
No.
Because I'm keeping that one really, I don't want to say thinned out, because there's
more stock.
Well, yeah, but I've already started with a pretty good base with that TRD Pro.
True.
So, but I am going to start looking towards that Ram 2500 platform, and then transfer the TRD Pro once I get done building that as the ranch truck for the engineered terrain park, and then running clients back and forth from the dairy and back and forth. So that's about it. So we'll go over that, but let's finish up your couple of the pieces and parts, and I'm going to start getting mine in and finish putting those together. If anyone has any questions, you can always reach out to me at membership@1881ranch.com, or give me a holler on the regular phone at 708-803-1881. And that's it. Ryan, thanks again. You're going to join me on a couple more episodes, I'm sure, in the future.
Yes,
tons
definitely.
of them. He's going to be out there wheeling with us, and Expedition Teepee. And then I think we're going to do that next episode. We'll talk about that trip, our upcoming trip in 2020. it's gonna be hard for me to accomplish. But I'm gonna schedule it. I need to go have some fun and relax, and the stress of everything is piling up. So
it would be an amazing trip.
It will be. It will be. All right. Thanks guys.
Again, everyone, for tuning in to another installment of Home on the Range. Remember, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Till next time, stay wild and true to your heart.